Good evening. It is a message from 11:33 and 1111. This video is going to be about having an imaginary conversation with an imaginary nobody. Again, I like to preface this by telling everybody this is only for entertainment purposes only, or for whatever you want to make of it. If you find anything useful from the conversation, awesome. If you don't, that's cool. Feel free to click away. That's cool too. But this message will find those who are ready to hear it. And I'd like to talk a little bit about who these conversations are. Why and how they work. It's simple. If you guys are familiar with Gnosticism, Christian form of Gnosticism, there was, long story short, there was a council taking place around 340, 355, don't quote me. It's not, I don't remember if it was the council of Nicaea. I forget. No, that doesn't sound right. Anyway, in this council, it was made no longer acceptable to believe in reincarnation, Christian belief in reincarnation. And Gnostics, they were flawed like a lot of religions are, in understanding. That's inevitable. By flaw, it's not criticism. By flaw, I mean differing of opinions, of perspectives. Anyway, the Gnostics also believed that in order for the human to come to a deeper understanding of God, it would come from a way of unknowing. And by knowing, I mean the less you know, the closer you become to the I am. And why am I saying this about the Gnostics? Because most people that listen to this are familiar with Western religions. And Western religions are very monarchy, authoritarian, very hierarchical. And that is what you're familiar with. And so in order to match your perspective about what I'm trying to get across, and what I'm trying to point at, there needs to be sort of a base for mutual understanding and perspective. Hence, let me give you an example. When Christ said, don't worry about the piece of straw in your brother's eye when you have a raptor in your own. It is mostly taken as, don't judge others, when you have a lot to deal with. And to an extent that is very true. However, it can also be interpreted as your own stumbling block in your eye is completely clouding you from seeing the reality of life. Because this goes beyond just seeing the errors in your brother's eyes, but it shows what kind of perspective you possess. A way of looking at the world that is completely different from other people. And it is because of differentiating perspectives that we'll never really truly be able to see things exactly the same way. Your experience right now listening to these words is going to be completely different. It's going to be something completely different to every single one of you. That's where language is flawed. And so, I want to ask, this mysterious nobody to tell me what you want to talk about. And if you guys want to participate, I want you to think of what question you want to ask. So I'll give you guys a minute here to think. I want you to really, really focus on what it is that you want to ask. If you don't have a question, listen for one. So let's listen for a question. In the count of five. For every second that I count, we're going to listen thoroughly, completely listen for a question if you don't have one. Or if you do, focus on the question and wait for the answer. In 5 seconds I will start, and those 5 seconds will be time dilated. So each second is going to take as long as I deem that second to mean. So I will start now, and I will let you know when I start to count down to 5. Or count to 5, sorry. Now remember, as soon as I start counting, if you have a question, I want you to focus on the question and listen for the answer. I want you to focus on listening for the answer. If you don't have a question, I want you to focus on listening for the question. It will come to you. We'll start now. 1. 2. 3. 4. 5. Now, if you did come up with a question, I invite you to write down in the comments, and I'll reply. If you came up with an answer, feel free to share if you'd like. If nothing has come, then maybe we need to wait a bit longer, but you can do that, at your own discretion. So, what kind of story do we want to say? What kind of question did you ask me? I asked to know why. Why what? Why is the ego's hunger insatiable? Well, you know why. Then why do I keep asking questions? That's the right question to ask, isn't it? Yes, I think it is. it craves drama. It craves entertainment. It craves chaos. It craves to believe that it's in control and that it is running the car. The ego wants to believe that it turns the wheel on the car, that it has a say in the matter as to what is going to happen. But it does not have control, and it is not real. Do you remember the book The Course in Miracles? Yes. Do you remember the first pages? Basically what the soul of the book is. Yeah. I believe the author said that I'm paraphrasing, I don't remember. I think it said nothing unreal in harmony? No. I don't remember. What did it say? Well, instead of giving it the answer, what do you think it meant? Yes, don't look for the question. What do you think it meant? The paragraph that you can't remember. Well, when you put it that way, it's pretty easy now. I think it meant I stayed with the memory. I didn't stay. I stayed with the feeling, not with the words. And what it was trying to say was that nothing real is ever really a threat to you. Nothing unreal really is a threat to you. And in knowing this, lies the peace of God. Basically, knowing that, your divinity, knowing that what's behind the veil, knowing that there is no difference between you and me, that there is no truth, there is no lie, there's only a coin that possesses a front and a back. You can't get rid of one side without getting rid of the other. That's why the world exists the way it does. That's why we experience it the way we do. We believe the things that we believe. I can go on and on. Then is your question answered about the ego? I think what you're trying to tell me is that trying to put out the fire of the ego, using the ego, is like feeding flame to the flame. I understand that. Alan Watts said that. I didn't know what he meant back then, but I do now. You see, the ego creates the drama, creates the problem, creates the question. It also creates the solution. Or it creates a question that doesn't know the answer to. Just to create a question. See, it is ultimately the only thing stopping you from realizing the truth. And that is because it only lives in time. And once you realize time is, now when you experience that time is not real, that is far more powerful. But you still get pulled by the ego. You still get pulled by it because you realize that as long as you have something to say, it doesn't matter. Well, I hope you guys have a good night. It's been a pleasure.